Characters in the Dragon Ball franchise are no strangers to making mistakes, and this counts among the heroes as well as the villains. But what about the perfect villain and the perfect fighter? How many times has Cell messed up in the Dragon Ball franchise? Well, today we're gonna break down 5 times Cell messed up in Dragon Ball Z. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and enable notifications so you could see all of my content right away when it comes out. Alright guys, so today we are going to be breaking down 5 times Cell messed up in Dragon Ball Z. And of course, joining me today is someone you've seen on my videos in the past, another big fan of Cell like myself, and his name is...
Hey guys, what's up? It's Josh from Dragon Ball Nation here. Glad to be on the channel.
Cell is the perfect fighter and often referred to as the perfect and maybe the best villain in Dragon Ball Z, but like all the Dragon Ball Z villains and most of their fighters, Cell has messed up, and so we're gonna list off 5 times he did that in this video, starting off with the first one we're going to be discussing, and that is, Josh?
Well, we're gonna get the first one out of the way because it's probably the one we should get out of the way first, and it's a filler scene where he obviously tries to attack Goku and mess with Pikkon as well during the Otherworld Tournament arc. And yeah, Pikkon kind of put Cell in his place, and you know, there's the argument to be made that Cell wasn't fully powered. Either way, he made a huge mistake trying to even get involved with Pikkon or get anywhere around him. Granted, he didn't know how strong Pikkon was and Cell's overconfident, but still definitely a pretty big mistake on my part considering he and everyone else there got knocked out.
I don't think either of us really like the scene very much. Absolutely when Pikkon just comes in and owns the previous top villain of the last arc.
But even power scaling, he shouldn't be able to do it that easily, so he must have been suppressed. But I still think Pikkon will beat Cell, but that's a video for another day.
Yeah, but either way, Cell probably should have thought that situation through a little bit more, maybe sent in more of his minions like Frieza and King Cold to try and deal with Pikkon and test out their strength before just charging in and getting one shot into those spikes.
Well, it's just Toei Animation doing their little thing where they make characters absurdly strong, like when Goku fought Kid Buu as a Super Saiyan 2 and stuff in that filler, so...
Wow, this Buu is stronger than every other Buu. Come on, Toei. Give Gohan and Gotenks some credit. But the next one we're going to be talking about is another really interesting one that I feel like a lot of people might not consider as being a time Cell messed up, and that is creating the Cell games. Now, of course, as we know, going back to the scene, Cell had Trunks defeated after Trunks was showing off his Super Saiyan Grade 3 and thinking that he would be able to defeat Cell. However, his power increase came with a speed decrease. However, when it came down to it, Cell had the opportunity to kill him, and even though Gohan and Goku were training in the hyperbolic time chamber, they would still be weaker than Cell when they emerged. So really, Cell had everything won right then and there. He could have just blown up the planet, he could have killed every single one of the Z fighters, but no. Instead, he said, if I give you 10 days to get stronger, can you do it? And decided to start the Cell games. And of course, as we know, that led to a lot of problems for Cell in the future, and it was probably due to his Saiyan genes, like the number of times Cell messed up on this list.
Right, and I mean, Trunks kind of gave him that thought in his head to even have the games because Trunks wasn't strong enough when he fought him, so, you know, I guess Trunks kind of saved everyone there in a way, I guess.
It would be pretty interesting, though, if Cell did blow up the planet when Goku and Gohan were in the chamber.
Oh, he definitely could have, yeah.
Because it would just be like, oh, well, we're stuck in here, I guess.
Well, in reality, I mean, for people that can't breathe in space, I mean, I guess anyone with a power level, at least say it's like a Vegeta, could just kill all of the Z fighters, essentially, you know, depending on how you feel about them being able to survive in space or not.
Yeah, and we've talked about that in videos already. We're not going to get into that again. But what's the next one that we're going to be breaking down this list, Josh?
Well, this one is not killing Gohan when he returned from blowing himself up when he got the Zenkai boost and then turned into what a lot of people would call Super Perfect Cell. It definitely a big mistake because, you know, maybe people think that he couldn't have killed Gohan, but I would make the argument that he could have. Definitely with like a death beam or something, right? Pierce Gohan for sure. sure.
Yeah.
Especially because Gohan he hadn't even gone Super Saiyan 2 again at that point. Like, he was still a Super Saiyan when he came back. Like, he had powered down or whatnot.
Yeah, he was completely caught off guard. Nobody expected Cell to return. And Cell, instead of targeting Gohan specifically because he should be able to sense Gohan through a big storm of smoke, he should have just pointed at Gohan's head, fired, and killed him, completely winning, and again, having everything in the bag. However, he just decided to randomly aim and kill Trunks, and he's like, oh, I guess I killed Trunks. Again, Cell was basically giving in to his arrogance and his Saiyan genes. And another thing is, Cell didn't even have to return immediately after he regenerated from blowing himself up. Sure, he had the ability to teleport back to the Earth, but there's nothing that said that Cell couldn't have gone and trained, or that Cell could have been more prepared, or really Cell could have teleported to another side of the planet and blew it up. Again, Cell kind of had numerous opportunities, even though Gohan was a Super Saiyan 2, to just end everything then and there, or just to come back at a much more powerful level, and he kind of threw that away due to his own arrogance.
And a fun fact, in the Dragon Ball Z Budokai game, in the final battle cutscene, Cell actually does fire the Death Beam pretty much at Gohan, but Gohan kind of dodges it with his arms, and then it hits Trunks. So he kind of like, I mean, I guess it would have probably pierced Gohan as well, Gohan and Trunks, but he still kind of dodges it in that game. So I think that's kind of a funny fun fact.
He could have at least, told Trunks, hey, heads up, get out of the way, but...
Right, and in the game, he's not surrounded by smoke. He's actually aiming for Gohan. So it's kind of a different scene in general, but still kind of interesting.
So the next one we're going to be getting into is another gigantic mistake that Cell made that kind of, I don't know, in some ways might have doomed his future counterpart on that Earth, as well as maybe interfered significantly in what he was trying to accomplish, and that was that Cell explained to Piccolo his entire evil plan, basically how he had killed Trunks in the future, when he would emerge from his tank, the fact that he used the time machine to go back and basically change everything, how he absorbs people, and basically his whole origins. He explained all of that to Piccolo because he thought, oh, well, I absorbed Piccolo's arms, except for the fact that Cell has Piccolo's cells and memories, so he really should automatically know that he can regenerate.
Maybe imperfect Cell's brain was not quite fully developed.
Yeah, his brain didn't become perfect until he absorbed the two far more intelligent androids, apparently.
Right, well, this kind of goes for number 4 as well, where we talked about, creating the Cell games was a mistake. This does add for much better storytelling, I would say, because, imagine if we didn't know anything about Cell. Some people might like the mystery, but I think that it's a lot more interesting to know where he came from and how he got all of his powers and everything like that. And obviously with the Cell games, it just added for a much better fight at the climax of that story.
I do like the fact that Cell is definitely one of, if not the most kind of fleshed out villain in Dragon Ball Z, because when you think about it, we know Cell's very origin, we know the reason why he was created, we've seen his entire life play out basically. He goes from being weaker than pretty much all the Z fighters to being more powerful than all of them, even defeating the main character in Goku. So I feel like a lot of what Cell did and how he was kind of fleshed out really made him that much better and made the entire arc better as a result. But there is one more mistake that Cell made that I think is probably the biggest one of all, or at least bigger than the ones we've talked about on this list. And what is that, Josh?
Well, this is a similar problem that you'd see someone like Goku or Vegeta doing, which would be letting Gohan's hidden potential be unlocked because he was intrigued. He wanted to fight Gohan at his peak, I guess. He was intrigued in the power and what it could do, and he obviously didn't think that anyone could even reach the height of the amazing perfect Cell. But it's pretty obvious at that point that he was completely wrong there. He had no idea the amount of power that this Saiyan boy could have inside of him, and it ultimately led to his demise, obviously. And I think that this is definitely the biggest mistake he made in this entire list.
Yeah, again, Cell pretty much had the fight with Gohan won up until he found out and discovered what Gohan's hidden power truly was after Gohan and everyone else was basically talking about it. So, he could have killed Gohan, he could have killed Goku, everyone there, destroyed the Earth, he would have won at any moment, and he's like, nah, I'm just gonna let this kid power up, and I'm sure I'll be able to beat him, because, as we know, letting your opponent power up never has any negative ramifications in the Dragon Ball franchise. Not once, not ever.
But led to an amazing battle, just not as good as Goku versus Cell.
Well, I don't know about that. But I definitely think that's Cell's biggest mistake on this list. But let us know what you think the other mistakes Cell might have made are down below in the comments section. Of course, check out Dragon Ball Nation in the end card and down below in the description. And as I always say, stick around because there's a lot more to come in the future.
And you better subscribe!
And you better subscribe. I know how to whisper too.